I think that this workshop is very practical one. I have the small part of little bit theoretical ideas that I like to feed in our thoughts, but mainly this is very much, the practical thing. And before I'm going to tell you what we are doing, I will share with you the one painting. Can you, Kirill, share, the one slide where is the painting? Okay, let's look at this painting together for a few moments. I'm just telling about what is this painting is and where it's come from, but it's not, the very, very important at the moment. But this painting is The Mother of Lemminkäinen by Akseli Kallen-Kallela. He painted this 1897. And of course, this is the part of national romanticism. And in Finnish national epic, this Lemminkäinen was a young man who couldn't defend woman and war. So he had a lot of passion for the woman and make a war. If you look at this painting, can you see any rational or logical aspect? Can you see something which is creative, that you define that, okay, this is creative work? And you are free to share any little details.
Hello, my name is Irena.
Mm-hmm.
Pia,
Yes.
your question is, can we see or can I see?
Can you see any, the real rational or logical aspects? And the other questions that can you see some creative part that you say that, okay, this is creative work?
Well, first I start from creative part. I am an artist myself.
Yes.
And I don't understand at all what does it mean. Can you see the creative part? What does this question mean, actually?
It's mean like that when you see this, the painting, can you straight away to get a feeling that, oh, just the creativity I can see in this, the painting, or not?
Well, I can see that it is a painting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a painter myself and also a performer. I don't know. I don't understand what it means. Can you see creativity?
Is the painting automatically creativity? Is it to represent creativity?
No, automatically nothing that is produced in the sense by artistic means is creativity. Nothing at all.
Okay.
On one hand. On the other hand, we can say that if someone produces something not by just like I have a picture and I try to reproduce a picture. Okay, that would be another question. On the other hand, one could say it is some percentage of creativity. And logical, what do you ask by logical?
Yeah, go on,
I'd
Mike.
like to join in here. I think the logical thing which springs to the mind is there is a dead body, a male, and probably a female mourning. But then there is this long line of maybe gray, but topped with maybe blood, and the black upper part was a swan and some rain, or some irrational or creative sunshine over the Black Sea. And of course, there's this one dead body as a whole, and then, strange enough, there is skull, and no one seems to have cared. That is really bringing over a strong feeling. So,
yeah. Any other comments, details?
I think that the expressions of both people are very expressive. The face of the woman shows that there is some kind of question, and it is a part of creativity because the painter somehow managed to get that expression, the different expression on a face. And secondly, the dead body, half of his face is covered with, mainly his eyes part, not entire face. So that is that I think that is trying to speak something. The image is trying to speak something.
Interesting points. And how you, I think Mike already said something about the face of the mother, but how you interpret the face of the mother?
Well, she's looking up in the air.
Please, go ahead.
She's looking up into the air or to heaven. And the question is why? Go ahead.
Andrea, please.
Yeah, it was very similar, actually, Mike. The same impression, and I take that to be a sort of a logical point in terms of there is some logic behind his condition and a kind of non-acceptance of that condition from the part of the woman. And as Mike just suggested, she's kind of expressing that non-acceptance to God, as if complaining, why did you do this, you know? Also, in terms of something creative, just grabs my attention, something that looks like flowers, but they are like dark, dry or something kind of flowers. They are not the kind of thing we expect to see when we think of a flower. And it's right beside the skull, so it does create a certain sensation too, I guess.
Many good points. And by myself, I'm wondering also about these phases, and that was very nice that you find out that it's like a questioning phases. You know, the mother is questioning that how this happens or something like that, and they are not, you know, the typically sad face of mother when the son is died or something like that, which is very interesting. And also, you know, these the stones, the cover with the red color. Very interesting ones. Okay, is there anything else you want
to
say?
Can I say about the face?
Yes.
The face also. For me,
yes.
Her face expresses also not conscious, but anger already starting. Anger. She's not only questioning. Actually, she's
Only
beginning.
anger.
But it is not like allowed anger. Maybe she doesn't allow herself yet because it is God, whatever. Besides, I find this painting very strange in the sense that on one hand, these striking stones with the red, which are like very vivid and very like from another painting. Then the mother also, she's painted nearly realistically, and especially the head of the lying man, that is a completely different style. So this painting is like disturbing in a way, because it is like a mixture of like from different, especially mother with stones, it works a little bit, but this other, the face is like very strange. It's like not even painted properly, whereas her face is, so it is like strange, disturbing in the sense of mixture of different styles.
Yeah, good points. Okay, so we can change the slide when Kirill is ready to change it, but I the reasons why I took it the painting in the beginning of this workshop is that this is the one very simple way to use art together with the philosophizing. And I like very much that people doing example, some of my colleagues in Sweden, I see tool size here also, the Adam Wallenberg example, he's working with the young people in this way, that they are going to Modern Museum, they pick up probably only the one painting, and they sitting down and watching the painting and trying to find what they can see, and they formulated some kind of philosophical questions about that. And when I asked it to Adam, long time ago, that what is the typically that the young people want to speaking when they watching the paintings, he told me that whatever is the painting, they always turn it the questions about their own identity, because they are young people and they are interesting about that. So it's something like we're calling this like a reception of art, that how we receiving, what we see and so on. But let's go forward with this. But this is just, the one nice, quite easy way to working. And what I'm planning to doing with you this workshop, I will demonstrate very quickly the next slide when it's ready. From Russian to Finland, it's a long way. Slides are sleeping.
Yes, sorry, it worked while
don't
checking,
worry,
but
don't worry.
I don't know. I will try to launch it again. And while I'm doing that, I would like to ask to let us establish the rules. I mean, some people are writing in the chat, so...
Okay, is there something? Okay, let me see. Yeah, there was some problems with Android. But Taisia, are we saying what we see or is creative about this painting? Yes, okay. I do understand this, yeah.
I think now you can see the slide, yes?
Yes, okay. Can you put the next one?
The next, okay.
The reason why I planning to doing this workshop based on my personal interest to understand more connection between the logical thinking and creativity. And what I'm thinking that we are going to using and doing in this time, that the first I'm going to open a little bit why I choose this topic. Then I'm going to give you the other kind of example when I work it with the people like art-based philosophizing. Then I'm going to feeding our thoughts with some words on art and some words on creativity and rationality. This is only the little bit theoretical part, but not a long one, I promise to you. And after that, we are going to separate us in the two groups, and I'm going to advise what are you going to do in the groups, because I want that you all can, talking together as sharing your ideas as well, and not only to listen to my speaking. And the end of the time, we are going back together and make some conclusion, but I'm going to give advices when we are there. So let's go forward. The next slide, yes. My interest for this topic coming about the reason that usually I find out that creativity and rationality have typically been separated from each other. And usually we can see like this, that the example philosophy represent rationality, consideration, and logical thinking of life. And almost the opposite, we understand that when we're talking about something creativity, we see that it's represent the opposite, like a disorder or impulsive action. But my argument is, and the question also, that when and if we understand these two important elements in life as separate or opposite from each others, are we going to lose something beneficial values? Are we going to lose something important or interesting? That's the question I'm asking about behind. Okay, next one. These two pictures, what I pick up from Google, are very, in the good way, you know, that demonstrated also in the visual way how we separated these things, that creative is something multicoloral things which is going, you know, the and management directions, and rationality is something almost a mechanical. But I wonder, asking that, is it really like this? Is there something else? And that's the reasons I putting this, that the creativity and or rationality, that can we find something interesting that they are working together and how they can support each others together. Okay, let's go forward. This is one very small the case what I want to share with you about the working skills, or the way how you can use the art with the people. And this happened about a few years ago in Berlin. There was the philosophical practice, the meeting or conference, and they invited me to keeping this kind of art-based philosophizing workshop for them. So I decided to do it that. And what we did, the next slide. The first we starting to little bit warming up, you know, together. And before this workshop, I asked it to all the participants to just bring whatever they find in the packages or their room or whatever. And the left side, you know, this photo, you know, was all these little things what they bring with them in the room where we work it together. So everybody put it, you know, all this stuff on the table. And I asked it to people starting to doing some kind of collage together with all this material without no words at all. So people starting to pick up one piece by one piece to material and putting them on the floor in the way how they can see, you know, these things to manage with each others, how they can see in aesthetically that these pieces going together. And it was very interesting because they didn't say any words each others. They couldn't communicate each others, but sometimes it's happened that some the participant moving a little bit, you know, some pieces, and somebody gave it back and they move it again. They didn't say any word. They just look at each other and said, is it okay? Yeah. And it was so wonderful that the photo represent what they did. And when we were ready about this, I asked them to look at this, the collage, and give a name for this, like an artist give a name for the art piece. The next slide. And they wrote it down, all the names for this art piece, and put it on the floor. And then I asked them to look at, you know, the names and make a vote that what name is the best one for this art piece. And quite easily they find out about name, and they decided to give a name Memorial for this art piece. And when they decided that this art piece is Memorial, we're starting to philosophizing together with the idea about memorial. And I asked them to make a question, that what kind of question is a good question if you want to learn and study together idea of memorial. So quite easily they asking about they make some kind of the common question about that what does it memorial mean to my life, or some these kind of things. And they starting to talking together about this idea. Next slide. This is again, the art piece. You can see there is so many things about the art piece calling memorial. And the next slide. When they were ready, they make some kind of common, the sentence, some kind of conclusion about the dialogue. And I ask it also that when you have now the work piece on the floor, can you go behind the art piece and make a statue which represent you as an artist and a philosopher to make this happen? And that was the thing what they made. It was wonderful. I must say that they had very happy. They really, really loved it. So it was very positive workshop, I find out. And then all these people are the philosophical practitioner in the different countries. So it was nice to working with them together. You want to say and share some comments about this to me or asking more?
When you said memorial, you mean like memorial of something?
Yes. Yeah.
Like they build in the cities memorial of this war or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And this workshop was, let me see, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. I don't remember exactly anymore. Okay. But okay, let's go forward. I'm going to share with you some ideas about this, the creative rationalities more. When we're going deeper in the art world, there is so much good material what we can use in using in the philosophizing. Example, this Ruskin, who was the architect, 7 Lamps of Architecture, a long time ago. You can find this probably if you put his name to the Google, if you want to reading this more, because I'm just using this like the idea to give you ideas. But if you look at, that his ideas that the 7 lamps of architecture means a perfect, aesthetically and the constructively way, the perfect architect. And what is the word he using to describing about this kind of art? There was the sacrifice, truth, power, beauty, life, memory, obedience. All the words that I can imagine to starting the talking about the in the philosophical way, all of these. Very interesting one. So there is so much, the good ideas what we can pick up from art as well. So the next slide. And the other way, what we can thinking when we putting together art-based activity and the philosophy is about that we study the senses. Example, when we starting to look at this painting in the first place, it's something that we are really practice our senses. And the philosophy of eye and seeing is very interesting one. I don't know, probably some of you have been reading about this. Example, in a phenomenological, the books, there is numbers of this, like Merleau-Ponty has written a lot of these kind of things. But it's the Kurt has the theory about the colors, example, all these kind of things is based about idea that how we are seeing things, how we understand what we are seeing. The next slide. Alan Badiou is the one interesting theorist as well. He had been thinking about this, the example that the 3 different schemas, that the relative history of art and philosophy can separate 3 schemas by the question of truth. He understands that even that we're thinking about art or art philosophy or philosophy as well, the truth is always there, that it's the connected together in art and philosophy as well. And there is something like the didactic or romantic or classical schema, which is like guided to our understanding. And he does answer to toast is with the words, art is the independent procedure of truth, which procedures immanent truth in the way art's nature is. I recommend it to reading this more if you are interested in. There is also one book, what I mentioned now before I forget it. The book name is Creativity and Philosophy. It's edited by Count and Kieran, and these books came out from Routledge, the bookstore. It's very interesting, the one. Okay, let's go the next one. When we're thinking more about creativity and rationality, there is so much things and so much opportunity to approach these things. When we're going back a little bit about the ancient Greek philosophers, we know very well that the idea of art, it wasn't clear on that time. Example, Plato wrote lots of art in the society book, but he was very critical about what kind of art is the good one, because he was worried about that the art is make a human mind so wild, so it must be very carefully what kind of art we are feeding to the people. And in the Plato's case, it's meaning for the young soldiers, so that they are not coming too wild. And Aristotle, in his little book Poetics, he's writing out about example, the mimesis. So this kind of concept of art, what we are talking about today and understand in contemporary culture, it's quite new one. It's coming from the later in the history, because in the ancient Greek time, like Aristotle told, they calling about mimesis. It was much more interesting to be very good to doing mimesis than not express, your own feelings and the individual's world. But in any case, the both of this creativity and rationality have interested scholars a long time. Obviously, because both of these have a strong value in society and human life. There is a long tradition in the history of philosophy, art, or science that regards creativity as extraordinary, and in that sense, exceptional. Exceptionalist attitude comes in two varieties: creativity as realized by exceptional people or by exceptional cognitive process. It is often combined with a second attitude, namely that creativity is a mystery that cannot be explained. I found that at least the 4 or 5 points usually coming up when you are reading something about the creativity. And usually these words are like a keywords. Originality, spontaneously, newness and value, and a question, disposition or capacity. I think this is very interesting when we're talking about the creativity. Is it disposition or capacity? I'd like to hear something about this from you later. But of course, the scholars has been interesting about the process, creative process, and very early steps. There is a lot of, the articles and the research work about how the creative process going on. Example, the Wallace, 1926, he wrote about, the steps, how creative process going on, and the steps are like a preparation, incubation, intimation, illumination, verification. So that it's like a process, because people trying to find out that what's happened when people are creative and creative and new things. A few words about the rationality. I pick up, some ideas about that. There is a very good book about 10 years ago, I think so, Oxford Handbook of Rationality, which I recommended. There is very good articles. But one obvious issue concerned the relation between practical and theoretical rationality. Discussion of the nature of practical rationality and reason concern norms of choice. And it seems that if such norms are not arbitrary, arguments over what those norms are must ultimately be a theoretical matter. To suppose otherwise would seem to generate an infinite regress. If we could choose norms of choice on a rational basis, then this rational basis would itself require norms chosen on a rational basis, and so on. There is calling theory, which calling decision theory is one approach in which rationality is seen as a matter of internal consistency. Minimally, the idea behind internal consistency approaches to rationality is that one might be rational and yet have false beliefs and preserve preferences, provided that one is in some sense coherent. Does not actually use the term rational. He is a historical figure, perhaps most often associated with the idea that preserved preferences can be rational. And of course, Kant is perhaps the figure most often associated with the denial of this, at least for the class of perverse preferences that motivated immoral action. Usually this decision theory pick up very strongly the idea of moral and the idea about the emotions as well, that how much emotions impact the people when people try to make a decision in rationally way. Okay, but here is some kind of ideas about this very shortly. I will answer the chat box very soon, but now I hope that we can work a little bit forward together. So I'm going to give to you a task in the next slide. So this is the practical one part. I think we separated you in the two rooms. We're telling you very soon how it's happened because Kirill can know this. And your question is, am I creative? I'm asking you to talking about, am I creative? If you answer yes, then you can ask it, how can I recognize it, that I am a creative? And perhaps you want to say something that, what does it mean for my philosophy? And also, if you say that, no, I am not creative, the same way, how can I recognize it that I am not a creative person? And what does it mean for my philosophy? And next slide, a little bit more carefully about what I want you doing in the group, because I'm the only person, I can't be in the two groups at the same time. Where is other Pia? Okay, what we are going to do, you can take a screenshot with this or writing down quickly that you know. The first, I asking you to take this question, am I creative? Think about your own life. Can you find some daily example to recognize whether or not you are creative? Be very practical in this way. Don't think about it too much theoretical. Be practical. If you find some daily example that you recognize this. Share your thoughts with the others. Listen carefully to the others. Maybe you like to make some notes when somebody is telling about, her or his stories. After the whole group has shared their thoughts, take time to explore this material. Can you formulate a sense of being creative? Can you formulate some kind of general ideas? And I'm giving to you one tip. When you share your own ideas about your daily phenomenon, probably you find something similar with the stories. That's the good way to starting to formulate some kind of general idea that at least these are the elements which you find out that might be creativity and these are might be not. So try to make together some kind of sentence, very short sentence idea that you can share, the other group when we are coming back. Do you have any questions? Please do it now.
Okay, we have in the chat the link to another room, but we need criteria to separate the participants to 2 groups.
Okay. If I
have
just
24
say
people.
yes, 20. Okay. If I just say the names in here on the list.
Yes.
And can you pick up the link and go to the other room? I hope that you are so adult that you can self-organize this conversation. I trust you 110%. And before you're going, I will look at the time now. So I believe that if you have a little bit about 10, 11 person in your group, be carefully with the time. Not a long story, it's very short one. That's just that you get a time and to running everything and talking. And I'm going to give to you 30 minutes, but if you are ready earlier, come back the link. Okay. So it's meaning that you are coming back 10 to 6. Okay. And the next persons, are you going to the next session? The link. Akatha, Alexa, Anastasia, Andre, Anna, Irena, Kati, Lydia, Mike, Mihail, Natasha, and Tulsa. There is 11.
So these people are supposed to go into another room.
Yes.
You may see the link in the chat. So you have 30 minutes.
Yes.
And if you finish earlier, then please return to this main room.
Yes. And the others, you can stay in here, but I'm not involving your dialogue, so you can talking together. I'm here, but I'm not leaving anywhere, but I'm not participating.
So I was saying that I can imagine myself being creative in general, but I still doubt that I'm creative in philosophy aspect. So in general, I can notice that I'm creative when I do something that I haven't done before. For example, I'm cooking and I do it extremely rarely, but when I do it, when I combine some elements that I haven't combined before, or when I make it in a way that I haven't made it before, this would make me feel and think that I'm creative, because it's like my own way, in a way, masterpiece. Yeah, I haven't copied it. I have to make my personal input in what is done. So it's in general. But in philosophical aspect, or for example, in consultation, I still don't have an answer whether I'm creative or not, and if yes or no, how I can figure it out. That's from my side so far.
Well, if I may, in my case, I'll relate it to philosophy right away. In preparing my paper for the conference, it's intense process over the last month or so. And I found in the morning, it's on awakening that I do my best work, have new ideas. And I was going to ask you, Dacia, does being creative mean doing something new then? Do we associate creativity and novelty?
Yeah, I do. I do, because otherwise, if it won't be new or new to me. It shouldn't be new in general to the whole humanity, but it should be new to me. If it won't be, it would be just simply copying something. So it won't be my input in this, my I don't know, strengths of force of thought. Yeah, and creativity on my side should be should go strongly with the, like, I don't know, it's like new neuron path in a way. You should do something in a fashion that is not habitual. Otherwise, yeah, what? How can you say about creation? It's just like duplication of something, or multiplying of something.
I think that. Oh, please go on.
Yeah, I just want to comment. Like, it's a very great idea to to have an indicator as like waking up and thinking that, or like going to bed and thinking that I'm going to do or have done my best. So it's a very nice criteria, this inner feeling that yes, it was the best of me, the possible, the best possible thing I could do.
I think for me, creativity comes in terms of poetry and how contradictions play with each other so creatively in poetry. And so whenever I read about or think about any philosophical idea, I think my mind plays with the ideas and the contradictions, and it creates something of itself. It does not need to be perfect every time or make sense even, but I think that I'm creating something. And another thought that came to me while I was listening to Tasha, that when we listen to some kind of idea or theory, and if I do not accept it very readily, I think I am being creative there, because I am creating a new possibility, a new kind of interpretation by not accepting the given idea. That if my mind asks that how this happened, why, so there is a possibility that my mind is not ready to accept what is readily given. So it is trying to create something in the activity, in practice. Might have not created something, but it is trying to create. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
Okay, so far we have two criteria: novelty and confrontation, right?
Can I jump back into this group because it didn't work out technically? Can I jump in too?
Sure.
So I was just going to challenge Taisha's your thoughts on copying as not being creative, because you also said, I think you said that it doesn't have to be new to humanity, but just new to me. So in that sense, copying something could then possibly also be a creative thing if you haven't copied it before.
Okay, with that I agree as like that it's contradictive, that it's, if it's new to me and I haven't copied before, then it should be creative. But I don't. So mentally, I totally agree with you that, yeah, logically it would be creative as well. But on a level of feelings, I have a strong what?
Doubt?
Not doubt, resistance toward this idea. Yeah, that my whole being resists that this copying something can be like equalized with creativity.
So I have a second thing there, because the question then would be, is it at all possible to copy something, or what does that mean? Is it possible to do something, repeat something without adding your own part? And so if that would be a condition for being creative, then I mean, adding something from yourself in some way, then maybe it could still qualify. But
it won't be technically possible, yeah, because we're all like personalities, and yeah, obviously, if we would be copying, I don't know, a dish or a painting, a music piece, or whatever, a song, we in any case brought something by our tone or by, I don't know, the quality of vegetables, anything. But this is like technically won't be possible to create a copy like by being a person, if it's not like mechanically done by some machine. Yeah. But the intention of a copy means lacking of personality. So it doesn't, the copy itself, the idea of a copy doesn't intend to open up your as a personality. It intends to cherish the author of the original.
Okay, so I just a final comment, because the interesting part here is that actually copying paintings, for example, or music parts are a very frequent tool in creativity within those fields. So that's actually when it's taught. That's so. Yeah, so it seems to be intricate, at least. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. It made me think again, rethink again this whole perception.
I mean, I can jump in and share ideas of creativity from my everyday life if nobody else wants to go. So I'm thinking maybe it could also be not doing things, something that I don't do every day. Sort of, that's a strange sentence, but which I resist doing every day. That's cleaning my house. I'm very good at not doing that. And I've always kind of prided myself with it because I think it means that I'm prioritizing other things, which I think then obviously are more important. And I'm thinking maybe that's also an important aspect in philosophizing, and to resist jumping in or to resist interpreting or over-interpreting or keeping to your, well, at least maybe that's also a part of creativity, to resist doing things. It's just a thought.
But what would be the criteria in this resistance? So resistance is the manifestation, but how this resistance might be like distinguished from non-creative resistance?
Okay, so I do music and I paint, and so there is. So I'm thinking that maybe it's just a criteria that's applicable once you've started out some kind of a project, to not overdo it, or to not, just put on even more cool sounds that you find, that completely kills the whole thing. Maybe that's also at least a part. It's not the whole part of creativity, but maybe there is something there as well to resist adding more things, or because maybe too much. So the question would be, could too much creativity kill the creativity? But now when I'm talking about it, maybe I'm doing a mix up between creativity and the sort of the product. So maybe it's not really relevant. I don't know.
Okay, so in a way, in this case, creativity would be this kind of patience and observation. It's like, is what I'm adding is really necessary and would make it better, or I'm just like, I don't know, running with something, and just for the sake of adding something, or for the sake of creating something, creating some piece that is not shouldn't be there, right?
Yeah, and actually I think that this really has a lot to do with philosophizing, because one of the key elements in philosophizing, as opposed to other sort of social small talk or debate or whatever, is actually the allowance for pauses, and the allowance for leaving it sort of a slow pace. So not pushing and not trying to push the conclusion, but letting it be that investigation that we aim at, sort of, which is part of, at least, the method of philosophizing, to be in the talk and not strive and go on towards some goal. Because if you do that, then it's not an open question. Sort of.
There's this interesting, it's this Yamini who used resistance first. So we have resistance and patience, as Tasha said, and waiting for something to happen.
I'm still searching for the Russian, for the English equivalent for the concept I have in mind. So it's in a way like a temperance. So when you don't add unnecessary thing, right?
Mm.
Yeah, when you are just check like the limit of this of the goodness of your final product in a way.
Mm.
Or maybe you do have another concept of this criteria that would sound better.
No, was it temperance, you said? Aha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
I have a question. That I think that here the parallel of rationality and creativity are again coming when we are trying to be precise that it should not be more than it needs to be. Then we are trying to somehow rationally uh, be very concise about our creativity, and on the other hand creativity knows no bounds. It's just like modern art, it goes anywhere. So I think that I just see this conflict between rationality and creativity in this argument.
I guess the better concept would be the moderation. Yeah, so this not going to excessiveness, and this concept will work with the problem you're raising, Yamini. So it's like the moderation is the let's say, a product of reason, because we need to reasonably control whether we would be excessive or not excessive in something that we are going to add or not going to add. And so this moderation would influence the product of our creativity through reasoning.
Yes, exactly. That's what I meant.
Okay, so far, I guess it's not that much time left. So far, we have like what? Novelty, resistance, what else? Yamini, what were you? Yeah, moderation, but you were saying also not conflict, but confrontation, right? When you were saying that you are not, you were just observing yourself. And
yeah, I said that when we question somebody, in a way we are trying to create new interpretations. Like if somebody tells me that this means rationality means this, and I say, are you sure it can mean something else? So in my mind I'm not accepting the given definition. So my mind is trying to create or looking for potential possibilities of new definitions, different interpretations. So in a way I am creative in the thought process but not in the product. I don't have a creative product, but I'm practicing creativity while
okay,
questioning.
so then it's like openness to the newness, so not rushing to accept what you already have.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have a concept for this?
I think openness explains it very much.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's too broad to express this precise idea.
Yeah, let me think. I can't think of anything. It's like self-awareness in a way, but in a radical way.
Yeah, but this is rather a condition that would bring you to this. Yeah, and courage. Yeah, it's again kind of a state of being. Yeah, a condition which might help or not help to this creativity to happen.
Yeah.
Well, openness is the preparation, I think. How about reception? We actually, of course, Pia associated creativity with making. That's that gets in the way when we start to think immediately of making. It it doesn't suggest reception. It's making is externalized, whereas we receive the new. That's we can make the new too. That's right.
You know what I think? That here we come to the point that there is two different things. The first thing is our state of being at the moment. Yeah, so this self-awareness, self-respect, this courage, this openness. So in my way, it also like this kind of clarity, but like clarity even not only mental level, but first of all on the bodily level, that my space and my body should be clean from everything excessive. And in this case, I can create something. So I have a like literally I have a space for something new. So there is no excessiveness. So the state, and then the second thing is, let's say the instruments or the characteristics of the future product of the future process that will take place. Yeah, so for example, this idea of moderation. Yeah, so which skill in a way I should have to be able to do something. So it's like the differentiation between state and skill.
I think that is very interesting. Like state, being in a state and having a skill, how they both are different. One is static and one is dynamic. You can always improve your skill, but a state is experienced as it is.
Yeah, and for example, you can have a skill, but if you're not on the in the right state, nothing will work.
I think that the for idea of openness, revolution or revolt can also be good words to explain, because when we revolt against something, we are not accepting a given structure. So, and when we are in a revolution, we are trying to make either a new structure or, you know, just destroy the
Revolt,
earth.
you mean like a protest, right?
Yes, but in like thought process, not in violence.
Okay, but this is go well with what you were saying. Is I'm not ready to accept right away what is given to me. And the pause and reflection, like to filter it somehow. It's like whether it's the thing or it might be something different.
Yes, or maybe color it with my own ideas.
You feel you are ready now? Good. More or less.
Yes, more or less.
Yeah,
You know,
never be ready.
We think we have some concepts, but yeah.
Okay, good. So I sent it Kirill message to you that can you visit another session and remind people to come back?
Yes, sure. I will do that in a minute.
Much. Yeah. Would you try to writing some kind of sentences about your ideas, if you like, to putting already in the chat when we are waiting the others?
Should it be like overall idea or our personal?
If you can collect together your ideas and make some general lines, that's maybe better. But if it's not possible, then your personal. Okay, people coming now. Very good.
Okay, then I will write down in the chat the collection as I see it, and if I miss something, please add what is essential.
That's good. Kati, can you help me a little bit and check the names? Because you was in the other group, so when you look at the names, can you recognize quickly that is somebody still, you know, flying on the line or somewhere?
I saw already that Agata and Anastasia are missing.
Okay, good.
Now she joined.
Anastasia is here.
Yes, Agata is missing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, and Mike, where is Mike?
Mike left before already when we were in the group. He left, maybe he left completely.
Ah, okay, yes, okay, then it's not worry about that.
Yeah, I'm here.
Andrea is here, good. Agata is still missing.
She did send a message on the other room saying that she was going to leave that room slightly earlier, but she would come back to the main room. So maybe she's actually doing something
Okay,
else.
okay. So, but because we have very little time, so I suppose that we should go on in any case. So, can we share about the results, some kind of conclusion about your ideas? I can imagine that it was very fascinating dialogue and good examples, but maybe the group who was here in this main line, can you start and share your some kind of conclusion ideas? And then we can think about that a little bit together. Who is the Taisia? Do you want to share it?
Yeah, I just it's easier to say than to write.
I know.
Yeah, so at the very end, we came to the very interesting idea about the differentiation of states and skills. That there should be a certain state in which we can create, and we should have certain skills to be able to create something. For example, having skills but not being in the right state won't allow you to be creative. States is this kind of openness, and Yamini brought this concept of revolt to be able to mentally protest from something habitual and not right away accepting everything that's coming. So leaving a space for this reflection and coming to the points like, is that the right thing for me or for the project of anything? Another idea was this kind of, and this goes, for example, with the concept of courage, to be courageous to bring something. Another concept was the concept of moderation. And to check, am I not excessive? Am I not killing my product with something that is not needed here? Yeah. Also, there was a concept of novelty, and here we have a discussion about should some project or some product be like totally new for humanity, or it should be just new to me. And in this case, it would be still a creativity. And here, from my side, I still have this split between my mind and my body, because my mind saying, yeah, obviously, it's like, yeah, if you are doing something that you haven't done before, even if you're copying somebody else, it should be logically be taken as something new. But my body and my feelings like, no, it couldn't be so, because it's like I'm imitating somebody. So it's like I'm not the real or initial author of this thing. So I'm like it's like mimicking somebody else and cherishing the other while doing it with my own hands. Okay, I guess that's it. But if I miss something, guys, can you please add those concepts that I miss?
Sounds very interesting, and I can hear also that you find very much about the qualities. Example about this courage, which I understand it's very interesting, and also about this the imitate or doing something new. It's very interesting dialect, of course. The other group, do you want to say some comments for this before you share your own ideas? Go on.
The last thing that Taisia said about doing something that somebody else did before, I started to feel there are like several areas somehow which are connected with this, and one of which I can name now. I think there is and it is also for me now it became clear that there is some kind of judgment involved towards myself, like which can be questioned. It does not mean now that yes or no, but I think that the attitude of judgment towards myself that can disturb many things, how I perceive myself, what I'm doing, how I am, and everything. And the other one, it is more vague, that I'm not sure, because one would have to go really deep into it, that maybe can it be that sometimes it can be an expression of creativity and sometimes not, but it is like kind of vague question now, because this has to be explored.
Yeah, that reminds that is there some kind of scale that we can measuring about creativity, which is always very abstract idea. Thanks for this. Okay, the other group, what do you want to share? Who is your courage person to share your ideas? Anastasia, please.
So we also spoke about novelty, about flexibility, and it was a question like, is it creative to be flexible, like acting spontaneously, considering the context and the things that go on with you right now. So these three things were named, like novelty, flexibility, and spontaneity. And we spoke also about like doing something new, something what Taisia spoke about, that you learn something, you like I called it like you invent your own bicycle. It has been already invented, but still you are doing it. And I called it creative. So Taisia questioned it and said that maybe that's not the thing. Yeah, if it's not new for humanity. So we didn't go that far. But we had some problems, like some questions at first with the question itself. Is it all right to say generally, am I creative or not? So like maybe it's a kind of labeling, and we decided to maybe change the question a little bit and ask how do I observe my creativity? Where what indicates it? How do I observe it? Then we shared our examples, and still it seemed that we were talking about different things. So and named different things were named creative. We tried to come up with a definition. It was very difficult. And we had two very interesting questions, two more interesting questions. So what's the link between creative and rational? And can creativity hurt sometimes? Can it be something that ruins the process, the game, and you need to be like really simple, follow the rules, and do like make up simple choices? So you may add, maybe I missed something.
Yeah, for me, it is still, I think what to add is that this question of what Alexa, I think, yeah, he brought this, that in some particular situations, he's too creative and he shall not, and it can be destructive. It still brings to the point that, are we talking about the same things when we're talking about, and that it brings some kind of opposition in the feeling that we shall at all use these general abstract terms, which do they mean at all something, and shall we label ourselves at all, shall we call it somehow, and coming back to his, I mean, if we take this general kind of feeling what we think creativity means, can it at all be destructive really sometimes at all? That would be in itself a very interesting thing after we decided what creativity is. Or is this whatever he's talking about something else which he calls creativity? Or maybe it can. I mean,
yeah, very, very good point. Go on.
Yeah, no, just to respond to that point, and then I have another comment. But to respond to that point, that actually makes sense to me. That it's we can make an analogy or a parallel with the very idea of virtue ethics. Socrates has this notion of the unity of the virtues, and the idea is it's for you to be a properly virtuous person, you actually need all the virtues developed. And the reason is sometimes, for example, you may be able to behave courageously, but that's not what the situation is asking for. And I think it's the same intuition that Alexa is working from there. Sometimes creativity may not be what the situation is asking for, and that makes sense to me. Another comment that occurs to me just now, actually, while we are back at the main room here. In general, I tend to think that all of us, have a much greater creative potential than we exercise in our lives. And part of the reason, part of the explanation is probably the context, the social context. Context is not conducive. It doesn't take us to creativity. It doesn't incentive creativity, because there is always a kind of pressure for uniformity and a certain way of doing things and a certain way of understanding things and all that. So actually, I think the context pushes us towards the opposite of being creative many times.
That's very good. We have only about 2 minutes left, but Andre, that's very, very good. And there are so many things which open all the time when you say more and more about this topic. And I pick up, also this, what Anastasia said, the quite end of your lines about that is creativity good or bad, because it can also feeding the bad things in the world. So these kind of things like virtues or moral, these kind of things, when you look at, the creativity with these, you can find out so many interesting things. One thing what I want to left you, like homework or whatever is it, just thinking about yourself, because I wanted to say more, but we don't have a time. But thinking about by yourself, this, the questions, what I say earlier, that is it creativity, disposition, or capacity? Because when you're starting to open these two concepts, it's leading in many, many ways, and it's very fascinating. And also there might be something interesting what we can look at with the philosophizing as well, and the practice philosophy as well. So that's my little gift at the end of this.
Could you repeat the question, please?
About this, is creativity disposition or capacity? Disposition or capacity?
May I ask for your answer? Short answer for that, Pia?
Okay.
What do you think?
But also,
excuse
what
me.
is disposition?
Yeah.
What is disposition?
I
What
think
do you
Kirill is our field goalkeeper. I'm sorry.
Yes, excuse me, but we have to finish. And
Sure.
thank you, Pia, for your wonderful workshop, and thank you all for your contribution. And the panel discussion has started or is being starting at another room, and you may check the schedule. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for
Pia.
everybody, and
Thank you,
don't
Pia.
hesitate to contact me if
Thank
you
you.
Colleagues as well.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening and see you the other sessions. Yes.
Thank you, Pia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.